Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Podcast Room 303. Introducing one co-host with more nuggets than Chick-fil-A, Nick Morahan. Executive producer until we find someone better, Eric Washington. Nobody really knows what he does around here, Nevada Putnam. And now, the single greatest thing to happen to hosting in history, Jermaine Antonio Colon Mendez. On with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Podcast Room 303, episode 223. I'm your host, Jermaine Colon Mendez. This is my co-host, Nicholas Morahan. And as always, we have with us, how you doing this evening, Nick?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Frank Reich says the Carolina Panthers 0-5 start is not a rebuild.
What? Dude,
and
what?
I agree with him. I completely agree with him.
Because they're not building it.
You need, yeah. They are still in the process of demolishing the house.
That's crazy. Let me ask you this. Before we get into further in the Carolina, well, actually, let's just continue that. Does Brian Burns get traded?
He's got to, right?
Does Jeremy Chin get traded?
They have to get draft picks. They have to get draft. It's Frank. It's not a rebuild because you don't have draft picks. And Bryce Young is the most boring quarterback in Carolina Panthers history.
Wow.
At least Kerry Collins did cocaine.
What about Jimmy Clausen? That dude was boring as hell.
Finger guns, Jimmy Clausen? Are you kidding me?
Or did you just hype up finger guns? Oh my God. No, thank you.
Jimmy Clausen was at least an exciting quarterback. He made me excited. I didn't know what was going to happen on any play.
Oh, here we go. PJ Walker.
I love PJ Walker.
Sam Darnold.
St. Louis Battlehawk. Sam Darnold, whatever.
I'm just trying to find one more boring.
Sam Darnold, yeah, but I didn't expect Sam Darnold to be good. Sam Darnold wasn't a number one pick of the Carolina Panthers.
You cannot be out on Bryce Young already.
I was never in on Bryce Young.
You cannot be out though.
I was never in.
You can't be out. I don't care if you weren't. I don't care. Exactly.
I'm not out.
It's 5 games and he missed one of them.
No, hold on. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I understand he's a rookie. And I'm going to take David Newton, the Carolina Panthers beat writer's advice, and I'm going to not get worked up about this Panthers team this year. But here's the thing. I think he is a boring quarterback. Yeah, wide receivers can't get open, whatever. He doesn't understand that he can leave the pocket.
At least he's making Adam Thielen a wide receiver 2 on the fantasy season.
And he doesn't seem to understand that defenders in the NFL are faster than him.
I think that's why he doesn't get out of the pocket. Those are contradictory statements there, sir.
Well, okay, so when he does start to roll out of the pocket, he just keeps looking downfield and then he gets hit from behind. So you want him out of the pocket, but you also want him to realize that defenders are faster than him. So instead of him continuing to look downfield, you want him to try and outrun the defenders you just said are faster than him. I want him to throw the ball away if he doesn't have options.
Okay. And he'll learn that. As a rookie quarterback, he'll learn to throw it away.
He's boring.
I don't disagree.
At least give me excitement, and I don't have excitement. I was excited to have Andy Dalton on my team.
Yeah, you were pretty hyped for that Andy Dalton start. He was slinging that rock, though.
If not for our defense giving up back-to-back touchdowns and going 3 and out, we're in that game. Why am I saying that about Andy Dalton?
Because Andy Dalton has won 10 games in a season a few times, bro.
No, I know, but why are the wide receivers suddenly finding space with Andy Dalton? Why is the offense clicking under Andy Dalton?
Well, they played the Seahawks,
who have a very good defense.
No, they do not.
I think the Seahawks have a top 10 defense.
No chance. If they have a top 10, it's because of that game against the Giants on Monday Night Football.
Probably.
But that's the Giants, you know what I mean? I would love to see how many points. Let's see. Let's go check this out before we get into our NHL Futures. I love how we just got sucked into this. Where are the She-Cocks? Oh, I think I just got us canceled for that one. So
Probably.
So they've given up 30 to the Rams, 31 to the Lions, and 27 to the Panthers.
The non-binary Cox.
That's not good defense, bro. Just because they let the Giants score 3, we know how bad the Giants are.
Very bad.
Just 30, 31, that's 61 in 2 games plus 27. That's 88. 88 points to 3 teams.
I just expected them to be a little bit better. If
I agree. I agree with you. You know what the surprising thing about this team, besides the defense taking a step back from last year because they were pretty good.
Ooh, I've got it. Can I add mine? Since Steve Smith Sr., we have not been able to draft a good wide receiver.
That's not true. You drafted DJ Moore.
Oh, that's true. We did draft DJ Moore. He had the tutelage of Steve Smith Sr.
All right. Since Steve Smith Sr. was in the building, creating good wide receivers is not a Panthers forte. I will agree with that. I think DJ Moore is outstanding. He just has the worst quarterbacks ever.
Why did we give him away?
Because you really wanted Bryce Young. You wanted the excitement that the number 1 overall pick brings to your team.
Fuck.
That one stung a little bit.
Excitement.
All right, so let's pivot to one last thing, and then we'll get into the futures. But we could be suffering like our much maligned on this podcast executive producer could be right now. Eric has died again. For those of you who know, when Eric doesn't attend the show, he's dead. Dead to us, dead to me, dead to you, dead to the listeners. But he's attempting to fly home currently. And his journey began yesterday at a 4:30 a.m. showtime. His flight got canceled from here yesterday. So he didn't get out at all yesterday. There was no other connecting flights to get him there through the airline that he's flying. He gets out today, 2 p.m.-ish, to Denver Airport, which is, in my opinion, is the worst airport in the United States. But other people have issues with other ones. But Denver is awful. And that flight got canceled. So they booked him a flight with another, maybe it was still United, or they found him another flight through United, or they found him another flight through another company. That flight sat on the taxi for 30 minutes, and they had a hydraulic issue that they don't anticipate being a quick fix.
The plane wasn't able to go up and down like a low rider as it left, I think.
Yeah, shout out Soul Plane. So that is what my man is currently experiencing. Hell of a journey. That does not sound fun. Let's get into the NHL Futures.
I think we need to start cutting his pay.
Talking him time. How dare you? We expected you to get work done today, sir. All right, let's get into our NHL Futures. We're going to break down 2 divisions on this one podcast. The 2 remaining divisions are the Metropolitan and the Pacific. Let me present ours.
Gross.
All right, let's start with the Metropolitan here. So I believe last year's – it doesn't have last year's order on here. Anyways, we'll get into the Metropolitan. Carolina Hurricanes are the odds-on favorite to win the division at plus 180, minus 1,000 to make the playoffs, plus 600 no, over under 109.5 points, and plus 800 to win it all. That's a lot.
Yeah, Carolina maybe took a step forward. I mean, they didn't really add anybody. They didn't really lose anybody at all. They kind of added a little bit of grit to the lineup. Nevada says, but they really have no elite player. Just really good really good players for Carolina. They might have the best defensive core in the league, especially now that they've added Brooks Orlov. I will say this: between any of the three teams that are listed up there, I think it's going to be the healthiest team that does well in the division. I think that I've read a lot of articles and people are saying that Carolina is not going to win the division. However, based on Vegas, I am going to pick Carolina to make the playoffs. What's their point total? 108.5?
109.5.
Oh, man.
That's a great line, dude. That's a lot.
That is a lot. What are the Rangers and the Devils?
Devils is 107.5. My squad from last year. Let's go. And then the Rangers are 103.5.
I'm going to take the under on Carolina.
So you got under and yes to make the playoffs. I'm assuming with that under, they're not winning the division.
No division winner, yes.
You had no additions or subtractions. This is such a hard team. I do not like the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know what it is. I don't know what makes me want to fade them like continuously, but I will continue to do so. I'm taking under and yes. There's just teams I don't vibe with. The Carolina Hurricanes, like I just don't see them winning at all.
I think Carolina benefited a lot from last year, the Bruins getting all the attention and the Bruins being this really, really great team that was making history. And they were just able to go out and play. The second you see the media spotlight be put on Carolina, they fold and they shrink away.
That's why I don't like them then.
And I think Carolina being the favorites to win this division is not going to do well for them.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Let's get into the next team. So we have the New Jersey Devils coming in with 107.5 points for their over-under, minus 750 to make the playoffs, plus 500 not to make the playoffs, plus 220 to win the division, and plus 900 to win it all. What do you got, Nick?
Yeah, so they finished 1 point behind the Carolina Hurricanes last year. They got rid of a few good contributors. Severson, I'm going to butcher this name, Sarangovich, and Thomas Tartar. Ryan Graves are out for the Devils. Graves might be a bigger hit than we think. Kind of that big enforcer type guy. They did add Tyler Foley though. They re-signed Timo Meyer. Can the young rookies step up and add firepower? The weakness of this Devils team is who's going to be the regular starting goalie, right? Schmid did it last year. He was a rookie. In the postseason, he did it. Vanacek was in 52 games last year before he disappeared in the playoffs. I think if the Devils netminders step up, they can be a they can be a good team. They are my pick to win the division. So I'm going to say Devils. These are Jermaine's darlings as well.
Boo! You copycat.
Jack Hughes should hit 100 points according to Nevada. I will say yes, playoffs. I will say 107.5. I will say over on the 107.5. And I will say yes, they win the division.
Oh, man, I can't believe it. I got so much crap last year. Now everyone's on my team. What a bunch of jerks. All right, so Nick has over. He has yes to make the playoffs, obviously, and yes to win the division. I'm not trying to copy him. He copied me. He just got the luxury of going first. I'm taking over yes and yes to win the division, and I'm also putting them down to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, look. Since you took them to win the division, I had to get them back. This is my team that I'm riding. So, I'll take them to win the Stanley Cup. So that should be a lot of fun.
So I'll let you go first on the Rangers then.
No. I want you to break down additions and subtractions. Okay. Yeah. I'm just messing with you. It's purely just because you guys gave me crap for the Devils last year.
Yeah, so New York Rangers then they brought in some good players. They brought in Blake Wheeler.
Sorry, let me give the line to the listeners. So We've done this before, I swear. Over-under is 103.5 points. No to make the playoffs is plus 400. Yes is minus 600. Plus 380 to win the division and plus 1,300 finals odds.
Yeah, so the Rangers brought in Blake Wheeler, Nick Bellino, Tyler Pitlick, Eric Gustafsson, Jonathan Quick, and fired their coach to bring in Peter Laviolette, who's a very proven coach. They did lose Tyler Mott, Vladimir Tarasenko, Patrick Kane, Yaroslav Havlik, or Halleck. I don't know why. This may be the thing for me about the fact that the Rangers are normally the darlings. Siskirchen had a down year. Signing Quick is big because you can have a proven goalie who's not expected. Quick has had a lot of injuries. A veteran goalie who's not expected to do a lot. Their defense is deep and well-rounded. Their offense is very good, especially now that they've added Blake Wheeler. I have a bug in my face. If
I have a bug. You just announcing that?
Yeah, Kaako and Lafreniere. If those rookies can step up, they're gonna be good. Peter Laviolette is a very proven winning coach. Why do I not like the Rangers? I have no clue. I just don't like him. I'm gonna pick him yes to make the playoffs. I'm gonna pick him over. But
you're gonna go over, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over on points as well. They finished with 107 points last year. I think that they can do that. What are they at? What's the point total at this year?
103.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over for that. They will make the playoffs and over, but I'm not gonna pick anything else.
All right, so you have over and yes. I'm gonna take the same thing purely because they have my boy Kaner. Can't bet against him. You know what I mean? Patrick Kane in the playoffs. It just should happen. Let's get into the very next team. Pittsburgh Penguins. Over-under on points is 97.5. No to make the playoffs is plus 165. Yes is minus 205. To win the division is plus 650, and to win it all is plus 2,800. They're already 0-1. Let's go. Go Hawks!
So I like this article from the Hockey News breaking down the Metropolitan Division. So they ask 3 questions, right? Are the Penguins a better team than the one that finished 1 point out of the playoff spot last year? Yes. Has the new GM Kyle Dubas done well to improve their defense core with Carlson and Graves as the significant pieces in that defense core? Yes. Are the Pens still an older and flawed team?
Yes.
Yes. So here's my thing, right? Letang, Malkin, Carlson, Crosby are all old, right? They've been in this league a while, but we saw it with Boston last year. Is this the crazy year that Pittsburgh activates the old guys for one last run, and they figure it out? I think it's going to go around their goalie Jarry, right? So Tristan Jarry, he's been frustrating. He's hot and cold. He has a high goals against average. He's been injured. But they finished 1 point out of the wild card this year. Out of the wild card last year? What's their point total, Jermaine?
The Penguins is 97.5. And just to keep in mind, you only picked 3 from the Atlantic Division. Atlantic and Metropolitan are together, right? And then Pacific and Central are together?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to pick 5 out of this division.
Yeah. I'm gonna go under for the Penguins. I'm gonna go yes, they make the playoffs. And I'm going to take a flyer and say the Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup.
Wow. Not where I saw that going.
I think we've seen I think the Penguins have the core that you can get them right now, and they can activate, and be that kind of old man team that the Bruins were last year to give it one great run. But I don't think they're as good in the regular season as the Bruins are. But once this team gets into the playoffs, it's going to be great.
I'm actually taking under on points and no to make the playoffs purely because of the rest of the division. I don't like this team this year. I don't think they can stop a nosebleed, as evidenced by the Chicago Blackhawks netting 4 goals, and none of them were from Connor Bedard. I just don't know if they can stay healthy, right? Which has always been an issue with this Penguins team, to keep them afloat long enough for that. And I have, the Capitals kind of bouncing back and playing some real good hockey this year, and foreshadowing. So I'll probably have the Capitals making the playoffs instead of the Penguins. So I'm taking under and no on the playoffs.
Okay.
Very next team, New York Islanders. 92.5 over under on points. That's a fantastic line. Smashing the over, just to let you know. just to let you know. And I will be taking them to win a division. Minus 130 no to make the playoffs, and plus 100 to make the playoffs. You can get that at even money. That's a fantastic bet. Plus 1,500 division odds, and plus 5,000 to win it all.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Islanders did not. The Islanders seem to have forgot this offseason that they were 2 points for missing the wild card, for missing the playoffs completely last year. They probably have the NHL's best goalie in Sorokin. They don't have depth. They didn't really do anything to move the needle. They have a slow offense and a slower defense. I mean, Bo Horvat is their star center. I mean, I just don't see what the Islanders can do to kind of pull themselves into this. I do have to pick somebody, don't I?
Of the remaining 4, you have to pick one. That is correct. Because you've gone chalk so far as who makes the playoffs.
I'm gonna say Sorokin powers the Islanders. I mean like Ewan McGregor in the first 3 Star Wars. He drags this team behind him like an anchor to the finish line.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the MVP discussion to finish the year.
92.5 is what it's at.
That's correct.
What a fantastic line.
I know, that's what I said. So I'm just jumping on the over and hoping for the best there.
I will also take the over. I'll take them to make the playoffs. I'm also going to take them to get eliminated in the first round.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the very next team, the Washington Capitals. 85.5 is the over-under on points, minus 300 to miss the playoffs, plus 235 to make it, plus 2,500 to win the division, and plus 7,500 finals odds. Take it away, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll probably rebuff me for saying this, but I mean, I think their biggest ad was Max Pacioretty. I don't think they lost. I think losing Peter Laviolette was not good. I think they're below the Islanders, but above the Flyers. They're definitely old. They did nothing exciting in the offseason, and the best thing that we're going to see is an Ovechkin goal watch this year. I mean, it kind of stinks to see. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. It kind of stinks to see the Penguins. I've always liked the Penguins over the Capitals, but I've always liked Ovechkin over Crosby. So, let's see, 85.
Yeah, 85.5. Yep.
Man, I'm going under and no to make the playoffs for the Capitals.
All right, I'm taking over and yes to make the playoffs.
What do you think? Why do you think that?
I think Ovechkin has something special in him this season, man. It's going to be one of those seasons where he's going to roll back the clock. The Washington Capitals are going to play fast and loose. There's no expectations on this team, right? And usually when there's no expectations on the Washington Capitals, they're a very dangerous, ice hockey team. And that's kind of what I'm rolling with here. I also just don't believe in the Penguins this year. And I don't believe in a lot of the other teams in these two divisions. So I'm banking on that coupled with my lack of faith, in the other teams, that is what propels them to make it. Now, 85.5, I'm actually projecting them to score 88 points. So it's not like they're going to completely blow past that line. But I do think they're going to be game. I think they're going to win in close game situations, which they haven't been very good at recently, right? But they'll probably get a lot of overtime wins, which allows them to get that extra point and just kind of tally up the points that way. That's just kind of how I see the season going for the Washington Capitals. Ovechkin, he's going to do something special. Okay. I feel it. I feels it. But he's definitely on the way out. So I think that's why it's going to be something special. It's going to be one of those turn back the clock moments. Everyone's going to talk about, he's going to be compared to all the people who's like, people over the age of, the only people to do this over the age of, and he's going to be put up there with the graphics of, Gretzky and
right.
And
probably Gretzky.
yeah.
Gretzky 4 times and then Obi once.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be fun to watch. I could be absolutely wrong. This is purely built into my Pittsburgh Penguins fade. I don't like that team this year. I have nothing against the Penguins. So the very next team, Philadelphia Flyers, 76.5 over under, minus 1,000 no to make the playoffs, plus 650 to make it, plus 13,000 to win the division, and plus 15,000 to win the Stanley Cup. I'll just let you know right now, 76.5 is a great number. I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I really think it is. I mean, 75 points last year. I don't think they're better. They need to rebuild and they need to sell off a bunch of players, but Tortorella is not letting the team tank. They're going to try to move out veterans this year. I think they're going to finish in last place this year, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I'm going to take the under and no playoffs for them. All
right. So you're talking last place in the league, not just the division.
I said last place in the division, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't think last place in the league. The Canadians still exist.
Ouch, but that's so true. That's so true. Oh, that one got me. All right, last team for the Metropolitan Division is the Columbus Blue Jackets at 72.5 over under on the points, minus 1,800 to miss the playoffs, plus 900 to make it, plus 18,000 to win the division, and plus 15,000 to win the Stanley Cup. This was pretty easy. I actually think the Columbus Blue Jackets hit the over on this point total.
Yeah, what's the point total again?
72.5.
Yeah, I think they're going to hit it over. There are a lot of people's dark horse this year. They think they're going to pull a Devils with their young core. They got a couple of solid D guys from in the division. So Provorov from Philly and Severson from New Jersey. They have a good young offense. Nevada asked the question, how does this team respond to Babcock leaving? Ultimately, it will be a good thing. In the long run, but is it, will it create kind of a toxic environment, or will it kind of create a hole in this environment, or is it addition by subtraction for getting Babcock out? I'm going to take the over on them. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I think this division is too stacked, and I do think though with Carolina, New Jersey, and New York, I think Columbus is a year away from being a playoff team in this division.
Yeah, I don't feel the way I did with the Devils last year on this. The Columbus Blue Jackets, I do think have the talent to hit that 72.5. So when I saw that line, I knew I was going to take the over on that. I thought there's good value there from that perspective. I don't see them making the playoffs, unfortunately, but I can see them challenging the Pittsburgh Penguins for the number 6 spot in this division. And that little kind of bumping with a team that has been there, done that. That's kind of on the downtrend. I could see that kind of igniting them into the next year. Plus, they'll have another year to develop more prospects. They'll add more to their cupboard as far as draft selections, and then they'll have the ability to sign more free agents. And as you mentioned, the Mike Babcock issue, I do think that's something that they're going to rally behind because people are going to use it to bury them and say they have no shot. They're not, I can't believe they're not going to yada yada. And it's just like, no, dude, they'll be perfectly fine. And, it happened before the season, so they'll be perfectly fine.
Right.
Let's go ahead and give our exact orders. I'll go first. I'll take New Jersey, Carolina, New York Rangers, New York Islanders, Washington, Pittsburgh, Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Philadelphia Flyers. And what was yours?
I'll go Devils, Rangers, Hurricanes, Penguins, Islanders, Capitals. Actually, sorry.
Pittsburgh Islanders, Capitals?
Pittsburgh Islanders, no. Blue Jackets, Pittsburgh Islanders, Blue Jackets, Capitals, Flyers.
Washington, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So Devils, Rangers, Hurricanes. Yeah, I think I actually might have messed mine up. So I think I have the same first three. Because I have Carolina under. So it's Devils, Rangers, Hurricanes, Islanders, Washington, Pittsburgh, Columbus Blue Jackets, Philadelphia. All right. Any trophy winners coming out of this that you might want to spotlight? Sorokin maybe for the Vezina.
Yeah, Soroka for the Vezina. I think Jack Hughes, if you can find a prop to get him over 100 points, I think that's really good.
Yeah, take all the Harry. Oh my God, I almost said the Harry Kane props.
The Harry Kane.
Well, on that note, it's getting late. Let's get into the Pacific here. We have the Pacific Division. Edmonton Oilers first, 106.5 points over under, plus 500 to miss the playoffs, minus 750 to make it, plus 195 to win the division, and plus 1,000 to win it all.
Yeah, I think Edmonton is a solid pick for being number one here, just because some people think they took a step back. I think it's just going to be more of the same than it was. The ability to keep Ekholm, to re-sign on Ekholm on D is good. Does the question that we ask is does their goalies, does Campbell return to form, or does Skinner take another step to be number one? I think that's really the only question for the Edmonton Oilers, a team that had 109 points last year, only missed out on the division lead by 2 points. I like Edmonton this year. What are they at? 106. That's their point total.
106.5. That is correct. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go over on the point total, and I'm going to go. Obviously, yes to make the playoffs. I haven't decided on a division winner yet.
Okay. Therefore, no on the Stanley Cup, correct?
Yeah, no. I will never bet the Edmonton Oilers to win a Stanley Cup.
I will. I'm taking the over. Yes to playoffs. Yes to division, and let's go. I'm going to keep betting Canadian teams until one of them wins. It's probably not going to go well, but Edmonton, don't let me down, McJesus. Don't let me down, Leon. Let's go ahead and get into the reigning, defending champions of the North American continent. The over-under on the points is set for 103.5 for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. To miss the playoffs is plus 425. To make it is minus 600. To win the division is plus 240. And the finals odds is plus 1,200. Nick.
Yeah, I think that Vegas is pretty much the entire team, right? They brought the entire team back. I mean, they lost Riley Smith, Phil Kessel, and Jonathan Quick, but they have all internal replacements for those guys. They didn't exactly have the best season last year in the Pacific, and we've kind of seen the Vegas Knights start to do a little bit of that Tampa Bay Lightning thing, which is they're starting to play less and less well in the regular season, but when it gets to playoff time, they snap on. 111 points last year. They're listed at 103?
Yeah, 103.5, correct.
Man, I'm going to take the over on 103. I think they're the same team that they were last year.
Yes, to make the playoffs, and then you'll abstain from division winner.
I'll wait to decide my division winner.
Yes. All right, I'm duplicating.
Yeah.
I'm taking over and yes, and then I kind of would love to sprinkle some pizza money on that plus 1,200. I'll come back to that on my decision. But as Nick said, this team, man, they've done a great job roster construction wise on this team from inception. And that's kind of why they've been able to stay competitive continually. And then they've been able to develop people as well that you just don't kind of see coming. And I see more of the same. I think they're going to have people slot into the few departures that they had, and they shouldn't miss a beat. So we'll go ahead and get into the Los Angeles Kings, one of my absolute nemesises. Hate them. Over-under on points is set for 100.5. To miss the playoffs is plus 300. To make the playoffs is minus 400. To win the division is plus 400. And to win the Stanley Cup is plus 2,200. Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, I think they have great depth. Especially at center. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a great addition. Defense is still solid. Goalies are solid. You would have liked to see them get Hellebuyck. You would like to see Hellebuyck go to any of these teams because they didn't get him. I mean, Talbot is not a bad goalie. Cam Talbot, not a bad goalie. They have a great Kings mix, a typical Kings mix that Jermaine's going to hate of old and young guys. The Pacific Division is a very weak division. And I can't hate against my boy Rob Blake as their GM.
You're boys. Now you're boys.
I do love Rob Blake. The Kings seem to be everybody's darling to win this. I don't think they did enough. I don't think Pierre-Luc Dubois moves the needle that much for them to jump up in the Pacific Division. I will pick the over. They won 104 games last year, and I don't think they got worse. I'm going to do the over. I'm going to do yes to make the playoffs. I'm going to pick. Let's see. Let me look at something real quick.
All right. While he's looking that up, I'm going to duplicate his thing. I'll take the over. I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings are battling heavily for this division crown. I don't think they get it done, but at plus 400, putting a bet on them to win the division is, that's enough cheddar to get me, even, one of the rabid LA Kings haters. So I think that's good value at plus 400, especially like we've seen Edmonton blow it so many times. And so I wouldn't be shocked if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Who do you got winning the division?
I'm still going to abstain here.
Okay. Very next team, over under 95.5 Calgary Flames. No to make the playoffs is plus 145. Yes is minus 180, plus 800 to win division, and plus 3,000 to win the finals. This seems like an unusually low point total for this team. But yeah, give me your thoughts.
I'm hammering the over, right? This is a team that was a massive disappointment last year and expected to challenge for the Pacific Division. Sutter and Trey Living are out. Craig Conroy as the GM is in, and Ryan Huska is in as the coach. I think that Calgary has about 1 year left here of their players. until they didn't really have any great free agency moves. Markstrom should have a bounce back year to claim their goalie spot. Also, they have a rookie, Dustin Wolf. Last year, they had the most 1-goal losses since 2020. They had 31 goal losses.
Holy cow! Just a regression to the mean alone.
Yeah, 31 goal losses. And that's including overtime losses. I mean, if you combine those two, I mean, they're 2 losses. I mean, they had 44 losses. If you even cut that in half, that's what? 15. What's it? 2 points for a win in hockey? 2 or 3? 2.
I think it's 2 in overtime.
Right. Yeah. 2. Yeah. 2 for a win and one if you get in overtime. That's at least 15 extra points right there. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take yes to make the playoffs. I'm going to take the Calgary Flames to win the division.
I already had it in the doc. I'm taking the over on points. Like I said before, Nick started giving us a little backdoor spiel on what they actually accomplished this offseason. That's a very low point total for a very talented team. I'm going to bet on the talent. I'm going to bet on them to hit that over and be competitive with these teams. And as Nick said, that the Pacific is a weak division. I think this is going to be one of the more exciting divisions in hockey this year because you're going to have a lot of these teams, right? Like Canucks are not a bad team. Kraken, right? They exploded onto the scene last season, and none of us expected that. And so they should still be continuing to play some pretty good hockey. So you got 6 teams here all vying for, in my opinion, with the weak Central Division, they're vying for 5 playoff spots here. So I'll take over on the points and yes to make the playoffs. And that division sprinkle at plus 800 is going to be a nice hit if you can get that done, Nick. Let's go ahead and get into the Seattle Kraken. The over-under for them is 90 on points is 94.5. To miss the playoffs is plus 120. To make the playoffs is minus 150. To win the division is plus 900, and to win it all is plus 3,500.
Yeah, I think the Kraken lost a handful of free agents. Daniel Sprong, Morgan Geekie, Ryan Donato. Martin Jones are some guys that left. They did backfill some of the guys. Brian Domelin, Pierre Edward Ballamar, Devin Shore, and Kaylor Yamamoto are kind of guys that filled into those roles. I think that they didn't lose the thing that they had where they had a 20 goal scorer. They had 4 20 goal scorers, and they have 4 lines of really solid second line guys, right? Every one of these guys is a good second line player that's different, that's difficult to play against. What's their point total again, Jermaine?
94.5.
That's a really great line.
I think their depth gets them to the over, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But
94.5. Yeah, I'll take them to get the over. I think the Pacific Division is so undervalued on these overs right now. I am going to take Seattle to make the playoffs. Yeah,
I think I'm echoing Nick's sentiments on that. I think we've been chalked so far, except for the division winner here. I think the Vancouver Canucks just aren't going to have enough to get them into the postseason, but it's going to be a fun ride for that team. And they'll be battling pretty late for a wild card spot. They just won't have enough to get it done. The Seattle Kraken, I watched a lot of Seattle Kraken hockey last year just because I'm on the West Coast. And, they typically tend to play some of those later games. And my goodness, they just bludgeon you over the head with dudes that can play hockey, right? They don't have any one guy. Like, I'm not betting any one of their guys to win, the Hart or the Calder or, the Vezina. but they have so many guys that can just go out there and just play good hockey and get the job done in just an overwhelming sense, right? So if you have a weakness in your third line, that third line of the Kraken is going to expose that. And I think that's kind of what's going to get them over that point total again. And it's going to be more of the same of what we saw last year. Vancouver Canucks are next. We're going to go over under points is 88.5. No to make the playoffs is -180. Yes is +145. To win the division is +1,400. And the finals odds are +6,000. What do you got, Nick?
Yeah, I think Vancouver basically has the same team that they had last year. They now have a full year of their rookie head coach, who showed the ability to get more out of the team. But I mean, they went 38-37, finishing 6th in the Pacific last year. In 21-22, they were 5th with a 40-30 mark. I mean, are they going to be 5th again? Maybe, right? I mean, last year they had a guy in Thatcher Demko who was an amazing goalie, and I don't bet that to repeat. I just don't think there's enough elite talent on this Vancouver Canucks team to get him in the playoffs. I'm actually going to take the under. I'm going to take no playoffs.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of seeing this division the same way. I think that the top-heavy nature of this division is going to sink the Vancouver Canucks' chance to get over on the points. I think they'll be in a lot of these games. They'll have the inability to make that one play to get the win in a bunch of close games. And we might be talking about them similarly to how we talked about Calgary, where, they were just kind of unlucky. Calgary was unlucky last year. Everyone thought they were going to be a whole lot better than what they actually put out there as the product on the ice. And I think Vancouver is going to kind of hit that same thing. They're just in the middle. And Vancouver isn't necessarily bad enough to where they should tear down and start looking to replenish with young guys, but they're also not necessarily good enough. And I don't think they're necessarily good enough in this division to really be challenging for anything. So I'll take no on the points. Sorry, I'll take the under on the points, and I'll take no to make the playoffs. And then we'll get into the San Jose Sharks, who are in the middle of a rebuild after trading away some of their key longtime standing players. Over under on points is 66.5. -4,000 to miss the playoffs, +1,700 to make the playoffs, +20,000 to win the division, and +25,000 to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I agree with Nevada here when he said that the Sharks may have the Sharks. That's actually pretty funny. The Sharks may have the biggest goal differential in the league, right? They got rid of Timo Meier and Erik Karlsson, both combined for 101 points last year. They brought in a goalie in Mackenzie Blackwood, but how are they going to defend him? Right. And if they do defend him, how are they going to score? Right. I really think they're going to they're going to be at the bottom of this division, and they're going to be competing for the lottery with Milwaukee.
With Milwaukee?
Not with Milwaukee.
Montreal.
Montreal. Jeez, excuse me.
Yeah. So what I just checked right now, they have the lowest over-under of all the teams.
Yeah.
So, and it checks. Like, we saw them trade, longtime San Jose Sharks players last year. They had a few people retire recently. So they are definitely smack dab in the middle of a rebuild. And the Anaheim Ducks, who were finished last in this division last year, are an exciting team. They have young players that you anticipate continuing to develop, right? And so, San Jose, give me the under, give me the no, and I think they are, without a doubt, should have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Those dastardly lottery balls, though.
Again, Montreal is a team in this league.
Yeah, I really think that San Jose sold, and they're going to sell again, and I think that's what's going to get them to the bottom. But again, it's the lottery, so you can have the worst record and not get the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
Let's go ahead and get into the final team before we get into the exact order. So the over-under for the Anaheim Ducks are set at 67.5. Minus 4,000 to miss the playoffs, plus 1,700 to make it, plus 20,000 to win the division, and plus 25,000 to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I think they're a team in transition. They're still rebuilding. Re-signing Tyler Zegras was huge. That means that he's not going to get dealt. They have a lot of good guys, right? Leo Carlson, Troy Terry, Mason McTavish are good young pieces of this roster. John Gibson, their veteran goalie, is going to ask for a trade as soon as possible. Adam Henrique and Jakob Silverberg are probably going to follow. They're in the last year of their contracts. Playoff-bound teams are going to want those two veteran guys. I think, again, this to refer back to this article by Hockey News, they had a quote in here that said, "This will probably frustrate Duck fans, but you probably need a first-round draft pick or a high draft pick more than a first-round playoff exit." And
God, that's brutal.
And I think that does sound brutal, but I don't think it is. I think the Ducks youngsters are going to hit their prime. I think they're going to be another team whose stock is rising in next year, but it's not going to be this year. I'll take the under for the Ducks and no to make the playoffs.
Under 67.5, really?
Under.
Okay, no to make the playoffs. I do think they make trades again. I am kind of expecting those young kids to play some pretty good hockey this year, and this was a team that, they made 76 points last year. I don't see them 9 points worse, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and take the over on this point total, and I'll take no to make the playoffs. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Edmonton Oilers, Vegas Golden Knights. Ugh. I actually think the LA Kings and then the Vegas Golden Knights. Grumble. Calgary Flames, Seattle Kraken, Vancouver. I'm just going to pretty much go chalk except for the last two. I'll take Anaheim and then San Jose Sharks.
So I'm going to go Calgary, Las Vegas, Edmonton, LA, Seattle. Let's go Vancouver, Anaheim. 7 meters of it's 7 inches of shit, and then the St. Louis Sharks, to quote Moneyball.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Canadians exist, and we buried them when we did our first division breakdown, and as we should have. But I do think that the San Jose Sharks will out-bad them in the end. Anything else you got for them? Any awards you want to, trophies you want to give out from here or no?
I mean, you always got to consider Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid from this division. Connor McDavid is an amazing player. So, yeah, I mean, probably look for them to win some awards. I think if the Flames play very well, look for Nazem Kadri to be in the running for some awards. And yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, as you said, McJesus and Draisaitl, I love watching those two. I really do. I think they're a very fun duo. It's a very exciting to watch them play ice hockey. So hopefully they can win a goddamn Stanley Cup. So I will say, I don't think you picked anybody besides the Penguins to win the cup. So you don't want to sprinkle any pizza money on anyone else?
Well, obviously I'm going to sprinkle pizza money in my Colorado Avalanche plus 1,000. Oh,
now he has his pair. No, I'm just kidding. Anyone else? Can I interest you on the Maple Leafs
Dude, I get out of my head. I don't want to say they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but they overcame the bugaboo, right?
I'm putting a yes in their mind, dude.
They overcame the bugaboo, right?
They did, dude. They did. They played
got out of the first round. Now they know that they can do it, and confidence is a crazy thing with a team that we both said is going to win over 106.5 points.
You have them winning the division.
Yeah, and I have them winning the division.
He can't do it. He just can't do it.
Nope.
Almost had him, ladies and gentlemen. Almost had him. You got anything else for the 10s and 10s, Nick?
No. Enjoy hockey season. Hopefully fighting doesn't keep going down in the game. Punch somebody in your face.
Wait, you're not supposed to fight in hockey?
It's frowned upon. If you have brothers, punch them in the face.
Okay.
If you don't, go find Jermaine's brother and punch him in the face.
Dang, them's just fighting words. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Podcast Room303. I've been your host, Jermaine Colon Mendez. This has been my co-host, Nicholas Moorhan. And as always, we have with us. We'll see you next time when you come on down and step into the room.